Christy, thank you. We are joined here with a special guest this morning for Penn State Altoona, the new Chancellor, Dr. Darbeau. Dr. Darbeau, thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
So new to Penn State Altoona, just getting started here. My first question, what brought you to Altoona? What was the opportunity that you saw at Penn State Altoona?
So actually it's a combination of things. I have a very deep, abiding affection for higher ed. It's been very good to me and to my family. And I really am sort of pulled by the need to give back. Secondly, my predecessor, Laurie Bechtel-Weary, did an excellent job, I think, assembling what I call a toolkit of really great opportunities for Penn State Altoona, and I was really just intoxicated by the possibility of growth of the institution. And really, since I've been on the campus the last few weeks, I've been so enamored with the faculty, with the staff, with the students, and with the community. So I'm just really so very deeply interested in paying it forward and in seeing the campus grow.
Well, Penn State Altoona is a campus that's kind of embedded into the city of Altoona, but also, you know, WTAJ, we cover 10 counties throughout central Pennsylvania. Students from all over take a look at Penn State Altoona when they're looking for their next opportunities in education. What are some of those opportunities that you see for folks here in central PA to see at Penn State Altoona?
Yeah, quite a few. Beyond the fact that we have, you know, internationally renowned faculty. We really have a number of programs that are unique to Penn State Altoona. The Railway Transportation Engineering program, for example, is the only one of its kind in the U.S. We have an excellent nursing program. Our visual and performing arts programs are excellent. And we are actually in the process of building in several new initiatives that I think students would want to take a look at Penn State Altoona for. So there's a lot of technology, infrastructure improvements. We're looking at new pedagogies. We're looking at the possibility of including new programming that are very student-centered. We're looking at student-centric design on the campus. So I think parents and students who are looking for an opportunity to move up, I think this is an excellent place for them to look at.
Now, Altoona is also a city that's looking to grow. The downtown is looking to revitalize even further. How do you think Penn State Altoona can play a role in building the community here in Altoona?
Yeah. Well, we've already been starting doing that. That is also one of the legacies of our former chancellor. She expanded the campus from the Ivy Side site to the downtown site, took over some buildings that were sort of idle, and we are looking to continue expanding doing that work.
You were talking about some of the new things that you guys are looking to anything that you can tell us today that
Sure,
you think
sure,
so?
I can tell you. We are looking for the fall of 24 to be moving towards the one-to-one initiative. So having mobile digital technology in the hands of students, Apple iPad, for example. We will spend the current year getting faculty and staff upskilled, building that ecosystem for our students. So when students land in fall of 24, every single student at the Penn State Altoona campus will have an iPad. And this will not only transform the teaching learning ecosystem, but it does things like saves costs on paper, but the one that I'm really very tickled with is it bridges the digital divide, and it also gives us the opportunity to lower the cost of textbooks because students can download ebooks and open and affordable educational resources, download those, and therefore reduce the cost of textbooks significantly. So I'm just really tickled pink that the campus is embracing this technology, because what it does is it recognizes and lowers barriers for student attendance.
Because that's something that people are, I mean, right now looking at educational opportunities, that barrier of cost, the digital divide might deter people from, you know, enrolling into a university.
Absolutely, and you can imagine saying to a student, instead of having to pay $2,500 per year for textbooks, you'll end up paying 10 times less that cost, maybe even as low as zero. And so we're really just very enthused by the notion. We are working on adjusting our advising structure. We are hiring a new director of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, looking to develop a new multicultural center on the campus, looking to broaden and deepen our relationships with the community, with internships and so on. So I will say to everyone who is listening, if you're looking for a place that is happening, that will do excellent by our young people in terms of providing them opportunities to grow and to excel, look no further than Penn State Altoona.
Well, folks, we're not going to let Dr. Darbeau go just yet. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to talk about some of the challenges that is facing universities these days and how Penn State Altoona looks to face those. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We are joined this morning by Penn State Altoona's new Chancellor, Dr. Ron Darbeau. Thanks for sticking around. We kept you here during commercial break to ask you a few more questions. So obviously, you actually have a unique experience with this. The Commonwealth University, or a collection of state universities in the state to kind of come together because of lowering enrollment through all those universities, which is a challenge that a lot of universities across the nation are facing. Is that something that you see maybe impacting Commonwealth campuses like Penn State Altoona?
So the situation is similar but different. The decrease in enrollment that is happening really across the country, but particularly in the Northeast states and in the Midwest, really is something that was anticipated to happen. There are some differences and similarities between what happened with the integration of Lock Haven University, Mansfield University, and Bloomsburg in the Northeast. So you rightly mentioned that there was a decrease in enrollment. Part of the challenge, particularly with Lock Haven and Mansfield, is that while the enrollment decreased, for example, at Lock Haven by 42%, not enough was done to manage the decrease in enrollment with the personnel, with the number of programs that were being offered. And so there is logic in the integration because there's some things that a small institution can't do, but a larger one can, right? There's value in scale. Mm-hmm. And so while some of those things have been happening at the smaller campuses, we are already integrated, right? Penn State really is one university, but we're just geographically dispersed. So in a sense, what happened to Lock Haven University, Mansfield, and Bloomsburg, forming that larger conglomeration, that is already what Penn State University is. And so the whole is able to support the smaller pieces, and the smaller pieces are able to support the whole. So some of the issues that happened at those institutions really don't apply to Penn State Altoona. That being said, we are looking, since I've arrived, at being somewhat more efficient. Mm-hmm. We are looking at trying to increase our footprint in terms of our academic programming. So I've asked faculty to begin working with colleagues across the campus and across the other campuses, for that matter, looking at trends, to see what are some of the new exciting programming ideas that we want to initiate at the associate's level, particularly at the baccalaureate level, and even at the graduate level.
Now, because you're part of the bigger institution of Penn State, President Neely Bendapudi recently talked about the budget and kind of gave a little bit of a I wouldn't say dire, but a less optimistic look at where the budget stands. Does that impact the branch campuses of Altoona at all?
So I wouldn't even say it's less optimistic. I think what she's doing, and by the way, I love her. She's come in and she's taken some very fresh look at the Penn State ecosystem. And what she's saying essentially is what is really what any person would say. We are at a point where we need to be very careful about how we spend, matching that with what our revenue is, because Penn State has to be here for the Commonwealth, right? It has to be here for the students that we serve. And just as I'm doing at Penn State Altoona, she's looking at efficiencies. So it's less of a conversation of a lack of optimism than it is a sense of more realism. And in terms of impact at Penn State Altoona, we are, as I said, looking at greater efficiencies, making sure that we're being appropriate with the way we're managing both our revenue as well as our expenditures. And this is just a typical best practice.
Now, we are running out of time, so I just have one last really quick question that obviously we talked about a lot of really important stuff, but I think it's also important. Your predecessor was good at ping pong. And I got to know, will you still bring that at Penn State Altoona?
So I am not a ping pong person. I know Lori was fantastic. The sports I grew up with were cricket, soccer, and racquetball. And I'm pretty good at all three.
So hopefully you can teach us some of those. And I'd like to learn cricket. That seems like a really interesting
Bring it
sport.
on, dude. Bring it on.
You got it. Dr. Darbeau, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Welcome, Jordan.
Folks, we'll be back with the final check of weather after this.